All right, well, hopefully we can repurpose some of that content that was just so riveting in our little pre-show meeting there. Great to have you with us. Sunday, January 29th, 2023, episode 384 of the Anik and Florian podcast presented by DraftKings. So I went to the Boston Bruins game last night. Made the mistake of talking about the NHL's Boston Bruins on the Anik and Florian podcast. So if you don't know, and we got out of there, Cody's giving me shit off the air for leaving with 8 minutes to go. I got a 4-year-old, it's a 6 o'clock game. We're doing the best we can to get him in bed by 10 o'clock, Cody. Procreate, Cody. Go after it, go have children. See what it's all about. But yeah, Panthers 4, Bruins 3. The Panthers tied up with like a second to go. We were long gone. And then they go on to win it in overtime. And my wife thinks I lost $150. I lost $400. I never bet on the Boston teams, right? But I thought this was such a good spot for the Bruins, right? They've never lost. They hadn't lost 2 in a row all year. Panthers in a back-to-back, giving up goals like it's just like open fucking season. By the way, the Boston Bruins right now, a little matinee today, I believe, early evening at the Carolina Hurricanes. So the Bruins in a back-to-back right now. Ken-Flo and his family nowhere to be found, not supporting the local outfit in Charlotte tonight, are you? No, not going to the matinee with the kids?
That is correct. I mean, I miss going to the Bruins games. Yeah, I would have loved to go. It was great to see you there, man. Support the guys. Best team in the NHL right now.
They are.
Right? Still?
And for you and me being in the southeastern pocket, Kenny, we can go see the Bruins now, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. When we grew up,
I know.
It costs a lot of money. And yes, I'm doing the whole show basically in a Boston accent today on a Sunday. We're going to be also doing a show this Wednesday, which will probably come out Thursday, with Bilal Muhammad and the General Saif Saud, head coach from Fortis MMA. That episode will not be in a Boston accent. That'll be more like the broadcasting voice that you're used to. But today, we're going Boston accent. And so you're going back and forth from Orlando, Florida for this PFL Challenger Series 2023 for the next 8 weeks. Is that correct?
That is correct. So now the next 7 weeks now. Yeah.
Yeah, one down, right? He's counting everybody at home, right? 8 minus 1 is 7. So I remember Bellator season 1. And if you don't know, I got the call from Bjorn Rebney like 3 weeks out. Hey, we need an English play-by-play man. 10 or 12 consecutive weeks on the road. And I think more for you and me, that's like living more the life of an NFL broadcaster, right? But these shows, what you're kind of in and out, it's not that many fights. What exactly is going on? Correct.
Yeah, there's about 4 fights per night. Head in on a Thursday, back by Saturday, essentially. So that's nice. And, it's been great. The first week was awesome. Definitely found some great talent. One guy in particular, Thad Jean, getting a win over a very tough Eric Aliquin. And Thad Jean's one of those guys, man. He reminded me of John Jones back in the day. Just still a bit raw, but it is so apparent that he is loaded with potential. His physical ability, his size at 170, dude, he's 6'2" and just jacked everywhere, and so physically capable, so fast, so explosive. The body kicks that he was throwing out there, man. He is someone to watch. Only has 5 fights now, 5-0, and man, he's going to be something. So keep your eyes open for him.
So, dude, 4 fights and you're in and out of there? I mean, that is crazy.
Yeah, it's great.
Compared to some of the broadcasting marathons that you've been a part of for the UFC and for BattleBots, right?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you get high as a billy goat, go call 4 fights, microdose on mushrooms, whatever you have to do. Just get right through that 4-fight broadcast. My goodness. I mean, that really, I don't even know if I'd shower if I had to go call 4 fights. So after the conclusion of these 4 bouts, the 4 winners narrowed down to Thad Jean and Kenley St. Louis. You can call him St. Louis. Nobody seems upset either way.
Right.
But celebrity panel, Wiz Khalifa, Tyron Woodley, and number 52 in your program, number 1 in your heart, Ray Lewis, unanimously voted for Thad Jean. Fan vote disagreed. They went with St. Louis. Tiebreaker goes to the legendary Ray Sheffo, and he gives the PFL contract to Thad Jean. It sounds like you agreed with Big Ray.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at this guy, John Anik, always doing his homework. Yes, Kenley St. Louis, who really was a 155-pounder, was there to corner Thad Jean that week. We needed a guy. He didn't make weight. They asked Kenley, who was supposed to fight at 155 pounds in a couple weeks. He's still going to do that.
Wow.
Was like, yeah, he's like, I train 7 days a week. He's like, put me in. So they put him in. He weighs in at 174. There was a catch weight at 175. He comes in and finishes his opponent from Hooksett, New Hampshire, by the way. Nick Alley, shout out to you, man. And he beat Nick by submission, man. So very, very impressed with that kid.
Wait, Kenley St. Louis is out of Hooksett, New Hampshire?
No, so the guy he beat, he beat, Nick Alley, is out of Hooksett, New Hampshire, and he came over to me. He's like, "Hey, I met you right after the BJ Penn fight at Space Center in Hooksett, New Hampshire, which is my brother's place." And he's like, "I saw you and Kurt Pellegrino." He was like, "I was probably 23 years old," so he made me feel nice and old. But anyways, it was great to see Nick, but Kenley was the man that night.
It's amazing how you and I, more often than not now, are the oldest guy in the room. And Cody, our producer, is from New Hampshire. He's absolutely right. New Hampshire catching L's left and right. But we love a good Nick Alley mention on the Anik Florian podcast. Yeah. So, all right, good stuff there. And yes, absolutely doing my research. And all of that is very big news, almost as big as these UFC 287 fight announcements. Now, April 8th, this pay-per-view is rumored to be taking place in either Brooklyn, New York, or Miami, Florida. Oh, come on. Can we get some Miami, Florida? Can we get a UFC pay-per-view in Miami, Florida? Could you imagine a Miami backdrop, right? I've always heard, when LeBron James was playing here, you got to bring Anderson Silva, you got to bring the right fight, right? So now you got to bring Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington, Gilbert Durinho Burns, bring the big guns. Santiago Ponzinibbio can sell some tickets. Let's bring this thing. Welcome to Miami. I mean, don't make me sing. Please, can we get this pay-per-view to Miami? All right, we don't have a location. Dateline TBD. But UFC 287, Ken-Flo, is going to be the rematch. Immediate between Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya. You can call it the second meeting or the fourth, whatever it is. It happens about 5 months after Pereira took the belt in November at Madison Square Garden. And here is Alex Pereira, 7-1 in MMA, defending his belt against Israel Adesanya, who continues to just be an absolute workhorse. Your thought on the big announcement that this rematch is happening and happening very quickly?
This is the right move. I think that first fight, of course, the first mixed martial arts fight in the UFC for the belt was absolutely phenomenal. It was extremely intriguing, exciting, back and forth. Two of the best at their craft going at it, the way that they match up, the history that they have. It was a perfect first fight. Now I think the rematch is very much warranted. I think Israel Adesanya, with the right adjustments, can win that fight, which would make it a trilogy fight, I think, after that, which would make it that much better. But it is a tall task. Alex Pereira also can make the right adjustments and perhaps make it a dominant performance. So I'm really fascinated to see how these guys come into this rematch here. And it was the right call.
Some people suggested that Adesanya would be wise to let this thing marinate a little bit after myriad title defenses and all of these championship fights. Not so much because of wear and tear, because there doesn't seem to be a lot of that other than the championship training camps. He hasn't been touched in a lot of his fights. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people suggested, especially when Robert Whittaker's fight went away in Perth, that, maybe have Alex Pereira go try to get through Robert Whittaker and then have that rematch. But obviously there's some risk there, some decision-making involved. Your thoughts on Adesanya's decision in all of this to turn around quickly and get right back on the horse and try to sort of right this MMA wrong, so to speak?
And I think that's what it's all about. Adesanya does want to right that wrong. I don't think he's motivated by anything other than going out there and getting a win over Alex Pereira. I think that he is upset about it. He's got the money. He's got everything else. It's not about just keeping the belt. He wants the challenge. And I think Pereira is that big challenge. And he wants to go out there, get the win. I think he's still confident that he can do that. He's motivated by that. And I think that if you allowed Pereira to go out there and fight someone like a Whittaker, perhaps Whittaker gets that win and he never gets another shot against Pereira. Mixed martial arts is insane like that. You never know. So when these opportunities come up, you take them. And I think Adesanya is absolutely capable of doing it. And I think that if he's able to do this, not on I don't want to compare him to Muhammad Ali necessarily, right now. A little too early to do that. But I think that coming back and beating that guy in Pereira, who has been the boogeyman for him, could make him that much more popular in mixed martial arts. I mean, I can't even imagine for him to go out there and get the win by knockout would be huge for his career. He was anyway one of the most popular champions in the UFC, one of the most paid champions in the UFC. This would take him to another level, and I think would make the whole sport bigger and better.
And Adesanya had essentially removed Robert Whittaker from the equation. Now, Whittaker's never really removed from the equation. He's the biggest star in Australia, and he's an absolute force in the octagon. We all know that, right? But if you allow Whittaker back into this equation, right, then you don't know what could potentially happen. So I understand why Adesanya is urgent in turning around, but I want to just read from my last pay-per-view open in which these two guys fought back November. Adesanya's essentially headlined 20% of all UFC pay-per-views since he became the man, but perhaps more impressive is that he always wants to fight the most dangerous contender, so much so that he asked for this challenge from Alex Pereira, man who's just 3-0 in the UFC, yet beat him twice in a kickboxing realm. Tonight, Adesanya's out to prove that in this mixed martial arts arena, it's game over. And now here's Adesanya 5 months later, again headlining a pay-per-view. And I just don't know that there's any more we can do to sort of speak about his value to the UFC. He's just always there and always willing as champion, as former champion. You're right. It's not about money. It's about legacy. It's about competitive drive and desire. And he could lose this fight and you could still probably lay a foundation for a trilogy between these guys in MMA, right? But I'm just so excited for this fight. I really hope it gets some Miami, Florida treatment. And it's really very, very interesting to see how it's all going to play out. I think Whittaker, could potentially be a backup. I don't know how those guys would deal with that noise, but very exciting things.